Hello everybody, welcome back to the Bison Workshop. I'm Bob, and today we're going to go on part 2 of the 2005 Polaris 570 door build. And we've got the doors on it, and I'll show you what we're going to do next, show you what we ended up doing to start with. What we did, we made these holes smaller. If you remember in my last video, the window was going to come to about right here, and down here it was going to be really thin. So this wouldn't have actually held together. It would have probably broke very soon. So what I was trying to do to begin with was make it so that he could unzip the windows from the inside or the outside. So right now we've just got them up there with a bungee cord going from the handle that I used that came with the windows, and then I just put some tread aluminum pieces there to make it look decent and to hold it a little tighter. And as you can see, this thing's stretched pretty tight, so it's holding pretty good. So basically I just made the window smaller so he can't open it from the outside, but he can open it from the inside. So that gave me a little bit more meat. Next thing we need to do, I wish they would have had this down here, but they don't. So we're going to have to make that piece and attach it to this. So basically what I'm going to do, I found this piece of metal right here that I cut off of some square tubing I had, and we're going to try to make us a bracket out of those. I can probably get both brackets for both sides out of this one piece. Just cut it in corner to corner and see if we can't make that. So the first thing we need to do is cut these corners off and form this to fit that area. I've already got my hinges made. I just got to weld them together, but I can't weld them together until I get these mounts on, so I can figure out where I'm going to put them before I weld them. So first thing we're going to do is go ahead and cut these. Alright, so now we need to bring that down a little bit and mark where we're going to cut and bend. Because what we got to do is we're going to have to match this one. And it'll go down here where this starts to straighten up. So, and we're going to pop rivet that on there. We're not going to weld it on. We're going to try to pop rivet it on. So we'll see how this is going to work. We may have to weld it on there. I really don't want to do a bunch of welding on his machine, but we're going to try to make it so we can pop rivet it on there. So I'll get my stuff together here and see how we're going to do this. Alright guys, here's what we come up with. We just made that bracket, made matching brackets, and we're just going to bolt these on with 2/4 20 bolts. So basically right here where it straightens up, right here's where the bend is, we want to put that right there where the straight part is. Because your hinge has to be straight in line with each other, otherwise it'll bind and you won't be able to open it. So we decided that we're going to do that right there, and we're going to drill that and tap it for 1/4 20, and we're going to put the bolts in right there. So I'll tap that and get ready to put this on. All right, now I just got to paint them. And we're going to change these bolts to stainless steel. I just put them in there temporary. So we're going to go ahead and do the other side the same way. I've already showed you this side, so I'm not going to show you the other side. And then the next step will be to mount the hinges. All right, guys, we got our brackets painted. And we're going to use stainless steel screws simply because we don't want them to rust. I hit the hole. All right, so now what we have here is the pins that we're going to use to mount that. I got a bracket that's the same size as that. That will go on that one and this one. And then this will get welded on there just like that. And then we'll have the pin that goes down in there, and then this will be bolted to this. So basically it'll be something like that. So when you lift the door, the whole thing will come up out of there. So these are going to be the hinges for the door. So I'll get these mocked up where they need to be, and then we're going to have to tack weld them while it's on the vehicle. And I think that'll work just fine right there. So that's going to be our hinge. Basically it's two pieces of metal, a pin, and a piece of pipe that slides down in it. So I'll get these mocked up and welded, and I'll probably just go ahead and put them on, and we'll just show you what I did. So this is before, and then we'll show you the after once we get it mounted on there. All right, guys, we took a break for a day or so and had my trunk coffee, and we got all of our parts made and hung here, and we're getting ready to paint them. So let's show you what we got here. We got our pins. These here mount to the doors. Then we got our hinge that mounts to the frame. And then we've got our other bracket that holds the hinge on the frame on the bottom. This one's already been painted, but we're going to repaint it again. So we're going to paint all these up. I've got them separated. This side here is for this side of the side by side, and that side there is for that side. I don't think it matters, but just in case. I might have drilled a hole wrong or something. As long as I got them mounted, I think they'll work. So we'll get these painted up and dried, and once they dry, we'll go ahead and put the doors up. All right, so now we got all these painted. Now we can wait for them to dry and get these doors installed. These are hinge pins, hinge, and the bracket to mimic that. And that bolts right there to that. So basically, what we're going to do is start putting this together. Alright, so now the next thing we need to do is put together our latches that I made. And you have to forgive me on the video, things are a little bit out of sorts, simply because I just had a lot of unusable material, and so I'm going to have to go through and pick and choose and find out what I want to put in this video and how I want to put it in this video. But right now, we're working on the latches. We've already got the hinges done. So the doors are actually on. Let me pull the cover off and we'll look. So we've got the doors up and the hinges are up on it in both places, on both sides. So now we're working on the latch that will bolt right here. This side I've already marked to fit. So let's look at the hinges. Alright, so I've got these marked passenger inside and driver side because there is some slight differences between the two. They should be identical, but my machining is not identical machining. So we got this bracket I made all these pieces except for that spring. This here came out of a screen door, the one that's got the chain on it. It's got two hooks that goes in there and it pulls and makes it springy. I took one of those and cut it in half and used half for each one of them. So then I made these, and you'll understand this here in a minute. Made the pin, and this is a spacer. I'll show you what that's for here in a minute. And then this is the beauty cover for the front of the door. And then this is a key, Carter key. So the first thing we want to do is put this pin in here, and I've got that stamped latch side B. B means it's for the passenger side, A is for the driver's side. That way I can't get them mixed up. So then we just take and slide that in, put a spring on it, put it in the hole. Then we'll take our Carter key, put it in that hole that was already in this piece of bar when I got it. I just cut it in half and it had the same thing on both sides. So now this can't go any further than that forward in the latch position. Then oops. So then this is just a spacer, just to get it out past the door. And then that goes and screws into that threaded hole I drilled and tapped for the center. And this is the outside handle. And then we'll tighten that up. Then we can put our inside handle on, and as you notice, it's got a little shank on it to miss the spring. Really didn't need to do that, but actually, yeah, I did. So then that's tight. So now we got a working spring. Goes all the way into almost out of the hole, so it can be pulled from the inside or the outside. So this is just a plate that mounts it all onto the unit, and this is just a spacer that will go behind this right here. So now let's go put it on. So now put y'all in frame. So now the thing that we did next was we put a bar right here, and that's just to keep this part from not being bowed, because it was getting bowed. And we put this bar on there to make that bend. So we'll probably have to put another one of these bars here to get this part over here to bend. So as you can see, it's got a bend to it. So that brings the bottom in. As you can see, this side is flush, but that side's not. So if I put another bar right here, that should take care of that. And it gives the door a little bit more weight. So we got our window that can be unzipped. And we got the handle that actually came with the window. So we was able to save that part. So now let me get my ratchet. Now I'm only going to show you the one side going on. So now we need to take the knob out. Alright, so now we can take these screws loose. And I marked that B also, so that these will all go in the same orientation. So now we need to take one of these bolts out, because these are not the bolts that will be in here. That's holding that bar from bending out. If I take this one out, this bar will be out to here. Alright, so now we'll take new bolt in, which is the right size, after I put my plate on it. Duh. Well, I'm going to have to take that other bolt out because I can't get to it. So let me get me a clamp and clamp that. We just need to clamp it so it don't move. got the dropsies today. Alright, so now we can put this one in. Alright, so then we got our plate, which is just to make up the difference because otherwise this would bend. So now we'll put that plate in. Alright, so then we want to go ahead and put our handle in to make sure that it's lined up with these holes that goes through. Alright, so we got that handle on. Alright, so now that works. Now we just get to tighten it up. Alright, so now we've got our latch on it. Take that off now. And there we go. So now let's go around and look at the other side, what it looks like. Of course I got it. There's the outside. We got to repaint the door, but I think that looks okay. Now the only thing we have to do is make a striker to put right there. I haven't decided what I'm going to use yet, but it looks to me like just a piece of aluminum metal bent and bolted in here. It only needs to go up about that far, and we'll just bend us a piece of aluminum plate to go around this that will come out to about half of that striker, so that when we pull that back, it'll miss it and it'll open. So that's what we're going to do here, is just a little piece of aluminum plate. And then I got to make a plate to match it on the other side, because it's nothing behind it. There's no metal, no nothing. So see, there's nothing back in there. So we'll have to make a plate to go right here on the back side of that plastic. Instead of having just 2 bolt holes in it, we want to make a plate here, maybe a screw plate, and that way we can put it together and have a surface area that's bigger than the head of the bolt. Because if you just use the head of a bolt in here, you're just asking for trouble. You're going to end up with busted plastic down the road. So that's the next thing we need to do, is make a striker. And then up here, to get rid of that gap, we're just going to use a piece of aluminum to go across here, right here, so that it goes with the door. So when it shuts, it'll be the same contour as this right here. At least that's the idea. That doesn't mean that's actually what's going to happen. He came down to help me install these. And right there's the finished product. Take you off the tripod here. And I made these knobs. So we got a latch right there that just bolts into there. On the inside, we've got another plate behind the plastic with a washer and a nut, so that it will spread out the load and it won't be so hard on this plastic. So now, as you can see, we have latches installed. So he's real happy with it. So now he has to worry about getting it closed all the way. So right there's it, and he was happy. He was okay with this gap. He said it would give him a little bit of ventilation. So we are not going to worry about this. If it becomes a problem, then we'll address that. But for now, it's straight right there on the bottom. Comes up to the contour. We got a little bit of a gap right here, which ain't that big a deal. That can be closed in too, but he's happy with the way it is, so we're just going to leave it that way. So that's the inside of the door with the original rubber or plastic handle, zipper. Now tell me, guys, is that not better than them $500 pieces of junk that those came with the bridge, or that he got? It's crazy. So we are done with the side by side, and I think that'll work. I'm getting ready to deliver it, so hope you guys enjoyed this. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe. You guys have a good one. Later.